is a presentation of the iRacing Esports Network.
Leaving the tiny confines of Lime Rock Park behind, the Camel Series has traipsed across the Atlantic to the former Roman Empire. That's right, here in Italy we tackle Monza once again. With much longer straights and the first chicane removed, the incredible brute force of these machines will finally get to unwind. But no one will be allowed to relax because there's still a phenomenal number of things that can go wrong around here. We'll see who has the Tifosi spirit behind them as we get ready to watch round 4 of the iRacing Camel GT Series. And you'll see it all live here on the Global Sim Racing channel and the iRacing Esports Network. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Sean Crackers Ambrose. Behind the scenes is our director, the Dr. Amjad Yaman, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Sean, Monza is familiar to most race fans out there, but in case they've never seen this layout, tell us a few of the facts.
Joe, welcome to Autodromo Nazionale Monza. The Tifosi are here. I'm here. I'm actually half Italian. My family name, D'Ambrosio. The Tifosi are here and ready to party. Joe's here. The iRacing Esports Network is here. And boy, this track been here since 1922, right here north of Milan, Italy. Wow, I can't even see my own country's name. Of course, the track right around the corner from the Ferrari headquarters in Maranello, and that makes this, of course, the unchallenged home of the Italian Grand Prix. Now, over the years, the track has gone through a lot of changes, but today the drivers are going to face the familiar Grand Prix layout, but without Rettifilia, which makes the sweeping right-hander known as Curva Grande corner number 1 today. And that's 5.6 kilometer, 3.5 mile, 9-turn layout here at Monza is best seen from on board another GSRC lap guide here for you now.
All right, we've got Johnny Bell in the GSRC Nissan, so let's do a lap around Monza. The front stretch is already pretty long in normal circumstances, but when you remove the Rettifilio chicane, you begin to realize why they decided to start slowing cars down. The Nissan doesn't give off a huge draft, but you could still see some slipstream battles. Even Curva Grande doesn't require a lift, so drivers will be jockeying for position all the way through to Della Roggia. It's the first time you'll be braking all race, but because of the incredible speeds you've reached, it'll be tough to hit your brake marker accurately. Avoid the curbs like the plague in this car too, because it does not like them. Quickly, you're into the first Lesmo, which tends to tempt drivers into an early apex. But the more important corner is the second Lesmo, because it empties onto a much longer straight. That means avoiding wheel spin or having to lift because you got on the power too soon will make a big difference. Confident and accurate drivers who can read the grip will be the fastest all day. But it's not just the high speeds that make this an attractive place to pass. The braking down into Ascari provides a great opportunity to send one up the inside. Once again, these curbs are not your friend, especially the tall ones, which can do serious damage to the car. Swing out wide at the exit and use up all the paved surface to carry your speed. That brings us to the run down to Parabolica. This is the last braking zone on the lap, so if you find yourself in a tight fight towards the end, be aware in case your opponent makes a late dive. Normally during the race, though, most will be looking to set themselves up for a better exit off of this 180-degree corner. Ease back onto the power to avoid the turbo lag, and now that we're back onto the pit straight, it becomes obvious why it's simpler and easier to overtake on this part. But hopefully, if you've kept it all together, you've now finished a lap around Monza. There you see a lap around Monza. Without that first chicane, you get some pretty high speeds going down that front stretch. Now, let's take a look at the championships here, as we've got 4 of them to go through, starting with the prototypes. This is the GTP category. Fabian Gerber is leading the way over Houghton and Ardo Iamaki, who have swapped places there in second and third. Timo Toika, with his second place, nearly a win, oh so close at Lime Rock Park, has jumped up now to 4th. And then, of course, we have 2 drivers tied in the 5th position. They also have a GTP Lights like they used to back in the day for the old IMSA. So looking at that, Martin Krejcik leading Kopak by a mere 1 point. It is still very close, pretty much all up and down. You can see he's only 3 points back to Guldager, who stays in the 3rd position. Johnny Bell, unfortunately, dropping down, but still very much in the fight, with only 6 points behind, and then Dave Peterson dropping down to the bottom of our top 5. What about the GTO standings? What are we looking at there?
Here's what we're looking at, Joe. Phil in and around the lake. Look at that win last week at Lime Rock Park puts him now up in first. 4 points up the ladder, or 4 spots up the ladder into first, and it's Villarola who falls behind. Everybody falls behind. Jamie Hall, Rob Olenek, and Nick Bucanos. The Americans showing well, but Joe, Lime Rock Park was hard on a lot of drivers, and hard on everyone except for Phil Lake, and so he is your GTO leader. Now let's head to the GTU standings, where there's been a little bit of movement in the back of the standings, but right now Milan Arnozzi continues to stay at the top with 49 points. Second is Eskrin Pandev, 26 points behind. And here's where things got shook up just a bit. Brian Shanahan, with a solid run at Lime Rock Park, gets himself tied up into third with Taylor Burris, who also had a strong run at Lime Rock Park. I believe that was a 5th place finish there for him. So comes 7 spots up the board to fall in that tie for third. And then Thomas Delmuth, the German there, moves into 5th, and he had a good run at Lime Rock Park also. That helped him out, and he now sits 5th overall in the GTU standings, Joe.
Thanks for that, Sean. So with that said, let's take a look at what this race itself is going to entail as well. Looking at the series details, the race details. We are on round 4 out of 12, and they do get 2 drop weeks here in this series. So you can make a few mistakes, you can have a few bad runs, but you can't have too many. Today's race is actually an enduro for this series, which means it is 60 minutes instead of their usual 40 minutes. That will mean you should expect 1 pit stop for both classes. Neither can make it all the way. And there's the scoring down there at the bottom. They also have no free repairs, so if you damage the car, you're going to have to suffer through it until you can get to your pit stop to try and repair. And I think damage here is going to count for a lot more, Sean, because of the straight line speed, meaning so much in both classes.
Yeah, well, you're going to see the Audi hang out with the Nissan today because of that. It's going to be tough for those Nissans to overtake at top speed, to be honest with you. You talked about damage, Joe. These curbs at the apexes of the chicanes are nasty to both of these cars, and you damage them. And that certainly something we're going to have to watch out for. I think the Nissan, in fact, it takes that damage a little less friendly than the Audi does. And so you get your Nissan banged up here early. You could see the Audis flying by a damaged Nissan when it's at full speed. So it's going to be a little bit different than we saw last week at Lime Rock Park.
We ride on board with Teemu Toika, currently heading towards finishing his 2nd lap. He sits in the 3rd position right now in qualifying. Let's see if he can get himself a little bit higher up. He'll get redemption potentially today, or he'll hope for redemption around here to try and get a win. He seemed incredibly despondent after last week's race. Let the car wiggle under power, though.
You know what I did find out last week, though? Everybody supports Fat Teemu. So that's a good thing. So all the Fat Teemu fans are here. We see Toika pulling off there, and now we're watching Antti Lepisto. We know he'll be fast.
Always is. And sitting in 5th right now. So actually a little bit farther down from Teemu. He's got about 4/10 off the pole, which is impressive considering how few corners there are around here. It all comes down to how good you get off those bends that lead onto the long straights to get most of your lap time. And by the way, if you enjoy this racing as well as any of the official iRacing stuff, make sure and click that big red button that says subscribe so that you can subscribe to the iRacing Esports Network. Don't forget, they also have all the World Championship Series. That includes both dirt and paved here on IESN. Ante Lepisto crosses the line. Does this one improve? It does, and that puts him on the front row, Sean.
Oof. And, well, I guess we knew it was maybe a matter of time before that happened. So there we go. Front row for Lepisto.
There's Jamie Hall currently sitting on the pole here for the GTO class. John Keefe currently in 15th. Got just a little bit of time left, but it looks like most drivers have their 2 times in. Checking to see if John actually has his second lap in or not here. Looks like this is his second one right now, so he'll just squeak it in with about a minute left. Sitting in 15th, so he's got a lot of time to improve. Second lap does not go faster for John Keefe, so that Marlboro machine, unfortunately, going to stay down in 15th spot. Big field out here today, 53 cars. The good thing, though, Sean, is that it's a lot bigger track than what we had at Lime Rock. Not necessarily wider, though.
No, not necessarily, but there's certainly room to move around, and I think the classes obviously will spread. They'll get an opportunity to spread out a little bit more. I mean, honestly, with Curva Grande, with that Retifilia there, you've got time to get things sorted out through Curva Grande with enough time to break down before Della Rosia. But now breaking down into Della Rosia, that could be a problem for some drivers. And down there, it's very, very tight, Joe. And getting through that chicane clean is going to be really essential in this first lap.
Well, thankfully, they don't have to do a full pace lap around here, but we should still get to the grid now that qualifying is over. Fabian Gerber is going to be starting on, Justin Albrecht is going to be starting on the pole. Helps if I scroll up. Ante Lepisto will be next to him in second, with Tobias Gerber starting in third. Timu Toika gets bumped down to fourth with Ante getting up there. Fabian Gerber will be P5. Arturi Amaki, it's just a bunch of Finns up here, will be starting in sixth. Fabian Jungbluth starts in seventh. Then Ryan McCusker with a good qualifying starting 8th. P9 goes to Clayton McLeod, and then James King will be starting in 10th. It'll be 11th for Luis Emerton. Good qualifying for him. Empty Box is back. Matt Orr in 12th. Then it's Mike Kopak starting in 13th. Martin Krejcik starts P14, and John Keefe in the 15th spot, which we covered. Radar Anderson is in 16th, with 17th going to Pablo Suarez. David Miller starts in 18th, Alex Bassiu 19th, and the top 20 is rounded out by Connor Pearson. David Raber starts 21st. He'll be followed by Justin Critelli in 22nd, Reki Koivisto in 23rd. Our lap guide driver, Johnny Bell, all the way back in 24th, and then Tanner McCullough in 25th. 2 cars did not get qualifying times in the GTPs, Brandon Phillip and LaRose Hugo.
Oof, that was a mouthful.
Yes.
All right, there's Jamie Hall on the pole. Billy Raiola right next to him. It's going to be Riley Thompson, Ove Trengrade, and then Phil Lake rounding out row 15. Back to row 16 and move on down through the results here. The grid, Rob Olenek, Caradine Bawafia. Let's see, there we go. And Nicholas Bucanos, Franco Scurry, Reed Miller, and Matthew Jette on row 18. Row 19 is going to be Andrea Albertinelli and Milano Nossi. And then we go to row 20. It's going to be Iskrin Pandev and Hristo Rublev, who will be the 40th car on track there, back in the field. Giorgio Buscemi there in row 21 will start their 41st. Bronislav Robanek, Trevor Snyder and Brian Shanahan, Carlos Fonseca, Thomas Delmuth on row 23. Row 24, well, there's a familiar name, Don Peak. The Don is in the race. Patrick Moore starting 48th. 25th row, Mark Prentice and Michael Haynes, and just a few more here real quick. We had 53 cars today, and we'll bring those up here and at the end of the field for you. That's Michael Haynes and Mika Kiripurvo, I believe, are at the very back of the field. So here we go. Joe, I'm going to hand it off to you because we're ready.
Oof, I hope the drivers are ready. That is a lot of cars out there. They're going to catch them pretty quick, considering the lap times around here, just under a minute and a half, despite the long length around the lap, it is still very, very fast. So roof pace car getting ready to peel off. Green flag waves immediately. Justin Albrecht with a tremendous jump down the front stretch. See, the cars are going to start to fan out, but then the track will narrow. Thankfully, no first chicane, but it is flat out through Curva Grande. Challenge for third place, as it looks like Gerber is going to be overtaken by Ardo Iamaki. Challenge for first place as well, as Antti Lepisto goes around the outside. And I believe we need to get to the GTOs at this point.
Yeah, well, they got started quick, Joe. In fact, already got a battle for second. Riley Thompson up alongside of Billy Raiola. Jamie Hall got the lead, got a good start. Thompson's going to pick up one spot here, a couple spots early. Raiola fighting back.
And I can report, we'll go to it later, but Martin Krejcik had a big stack up because he got sideways. Thankfully, most everybody got through a little bit of contact as we watched the GTOs work their way through De La Roja.
Yeah, battle on for third is Phil Lake trying to get through Ove Trengrade. Ove struggling here just a bit on the start, Joe. But the Audis pretty much line astern here already.
Here's hoping that Ove can have a little bit of a better result here in the Camel Series than he did in the Lotus 49 just a couple hours ago. DNF'd out of that one, but Ove in fourth at the moment. They're all going to slot together here as they come through Ascari. Even these four-wheel drive cars don't like the big curves too much around this track. Back up to the GTP class as they finish the first lap. Lepisto still leading the way over Albrecht with that pass up to Curva Grande. It looks like the draft not going to be enough for Justin Albrecht to repeat the maneuver. He's going to continue to gain. Bit of a defensive line by Lepisto. Comes back to the racing line into De La Roja. Iamaki closing in on him. Fat Timu as well. First battle that we've got is behind them. Oh, and a car is going around. It looks like that's Ryan McCusker, causing a lot more problems as cars scatter to avoid him. Get the replay here. Starts with McCusker getting spun around, and then someone actually went into the wall trying to get out of him. I'm not sure who that was. It was a blue and white machine. Looks like that's the number 16. That is Suarez, I think. And you can see whoever it was, he's now missing the nose of the car and actually took off track. So as we come back live.
That Young
Go ahead, Sean.
Was that Fabian?
Could have been.
He's in the pits. Nose is gone on the car. Yeah, that was Fabian.
That's Fabian Gerth. Yeah. All right, let's jump back over to the... Oh, never mind. Looks like we've got action back here. The Nissans anyway, yeah. A lot of stuff to keep track of as Albrecht has a great run down the front stretch. He's heading for it, but can he get the pass done? Again, no lifting because of the tremendous downforce in these cars through this first corner. Despite being flat out since the Parabolica, just doesn't have enough. No change behind them as well, as Ardo Iamaki actually laid on the brakes into De La Roja. Got to be careful with those curves. He was way on top of them. Could be missing a pass for second here in the GTOs. Looks like Hall and Thompson going to swap spots. No, he's backing out.
Yeah, Thompson's backed out of it the last couple turns. He's backed out of it. I think he's riding where he wants to be at the moment. It's Billy Raiola who's made the big charge. Up 4 spots, got himself into the lead, and opened things up just a little bit on Hall, but I think Hall's playing it safe here. Joe, this is a 60-minute race today, so a lot can happen. So, settling down, getting the car secure, I think is the best way to go.
And it sounded like something happened to Pearson over in the GTP class. Did he find the wall? Yes, he did. A little bit of car contact in it. And as well, that was poor Johnny Bell, who was like a pinball in that pink machine, just getting knocked around. Let's see from on board the number 48. He was able to get it going once again, the Pennsylvania driver. Just on the outside there. little bit of contact, and unfortunately, because of them spinning, that number 9 just clatters into him.
He's limping it. Pearson's still limping his car back to the pits as the Audi field comes through, Joe.
Meanwhile, I understand there was...
Riley Thompson, yeah.
Yeah. What happened here? Ascari apparently did not agree with him.
No, I got off the top of the curb and the car gets out of shape.
Might be damaged. Did you see the rear of that thing jump?
Yeah.
So we come back live. It is still a close fight. And both the top of our categories, we're looking at Phil Lake at the moment, riding in third, trying to get away from Ove Trangrade. And Ove Trangrade himself in a good battle with Thompson, hoping to get those spots back. He looks to the inside, down into De La Roja, but no dice there. He's got to worry about Rob Olenek behind him, very much breathing down his neck. Olenek having to go defensive on Mukanos, taking a peek into the first Lesmo. A lot of action out here today. And I think we might have a swap for our leaders in the Nissans as they come down the front stretch towards Curva Grande. Justin Albrecht gets up to the back of him, but starts to lift. And Sean, this has me thinking, not just a matter of it being a long race and being patient, but he tries to outbrake Lepisto down into De La Roja. Decisive move.
Albrecht pulls this off. We're going to go on board with him here real quick. He does clatter it over the curbs in the process. I don't think he picked up any damage, but watch this move, Joe.
This Pennzoil machine on the binders very late. Look at this. Sold him a dummy and just makes it stick. So what the point that I was about to get to, Sean, I wonder if we're seeing some fuel saving from some drivers.
Oh, yeah, no, it could be. Oh, a battle for the lead in the Audis. Hall coming around Ruola.
Looks like that's going to be an easy pass for Jamie. They are starting to pull a little bit of a gap, not just on Phil Lake, but on Ove Trangrade behind them. It is a top 3 breakaway in the GTO class.
Boy, and Riley Thompson just went really, really wide out of Curva Grande.
Ooh, and was that a bad shift from Olenek there? Saw an attempt from Mukanos, isn't able to make the pass, but this checks up a train of cars now, including Martin Krejcik in his Nissan trying to get back through. I don't think they're getting blue flags for him here.
No, they aren't. He's moving his way back through the field. Remember, he had that trouble early, Joe.
Speaking of which, I think, are we catching up to the tail end of our GTO class and the GTPs? So we ride on board with Nick Mukanos, very tight behind Olenek, trying to get the run off of Ascari, but not quite good enough to make an attack.
This position belongs to any one of the 4. Here they go.
Down into the...
That's Boafia just slides it in there. He got in way too hot next to Riley Thompson. In fact, might have even got a little bit of damage on the right side of Thompson's car. But Thompson's going to lose time because of that. Olenek Mukanos still going at it down the front stretch.
Hot stuff here in round 4 of the Camel GT Series as they go side by side up towards Curva Grande. That's Mukanos to the inside. Olenek and the Rainbow Machine to the outside, and he's going to have to give way. Ooh, and off into the grass as well. Stays in it, foot down to the floor. Riley Thompson can't make the overtake due to the bravery of Rob Olenek. Justin Albrecht, I mentioned they're catching the GTOs, and indeed, they are very much to the back of these guys. Brian Shanahan coming up, Thomas Delmuth, Mika Kivipuro. Ooh, and there's even a battle there as Delmuth gets overtaken and Kivipuro overshoots it. That actually might help the leaders as one of the Audis gets out of the way, taking to the runoff. Certainly can't miss the car of Kivipuro with that bright magenta. and green car.
Yeah, it definitely stands out, Joe.
That's a good strategy. I like that. Make
good
yourself.
No, I'm sorry. I was going to say it's good Halloween colors, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes yourself hard to miss if you're the leaders. Bad news for Jungbluth fans. He has decided to call it a day and has pulled his car back into the garage. Oh, and who's that back there? Very damaged. Oh, Gregorio Buscemi. There we go. I got it on the third try.
Careful, Joe. Could wind up in a highlight reel.
The Italian not having a good day at his home track. He's trying to limp it back home in the midst of a lot of traffic. Meanwhile, fourth in the GTPs. Man, gloves are off, Sean.
Yeah, and these two have never raced together before. they don't know each other at all.
Gerber and Toyka. Oh, and these cars, these GTOs are very slow in this corner. Look at him get held up. Who was that slowing down? That was Milan Arnozzi holding up Ardo Iamaki. Oh, and Lapisto taken off. Was that Thompson?
Well,
that was Trevor Snyder.
It was Snyder, actually, his teammate.
Gonna try and find the replay here.
We got it, Joe. We got it. And what happens is Trevor gets in over the curbs, gets in too hot over the curbs. Car comes spinning around in the middle of the track right here, Joe. Nobody's got anywhere to go. Everybody gets just punted there, backed up. And, of course, Ante gets the worst of it. And we got another shot here. I think we're going to go on board with Ante. Let's watch it from Ardo's view. He's going to be one of the last to get through this here. Yeah, he's going to thread the needle. Exactly, Joe. Boom. He's through.
Wow, look at that.
How?
little bit of luck, little bit of bravery, and some good choices.
And the craziness going on in the GTOs. Mucanos taking the 5th spot from Olenek and Boafia.
Wow. So can't miss a moment here as they come out of Curva Grande. Mucanos leads the pack in 5th. They work their way through Della Roja. Rob Olenek trying to get off the corner. Once again, a bad exit. Boafia trying to take advantage, but can't do anything on the short stretch up to the first Lesmo.
Mucanos looking in his mirror, just thinking, man, this is nuts. Absolutely nuts.
I don't think you have to look in your mirror. You can look any way around you and see insanity on this track. Look at him use every inch of it coming out of the second Lesmo, bounding over the gravel. Boafia has a great run on Olenek down towards the scar. He ducks to the inside, but he's not brave enough on the brakes, and he comes back in line. Out of Ascari now. He's going to get another bite of it. And this is a great exit from Kiradine.
Yeah, he's going to try to take this inside position here, heading down to Parabolica.
Don't look now. Here comes our overall leader, Justin Albrecht. Just as they're starting to go side by side, he looks to the outside. They could go 3 wide potentially here. They start to sort themselves out, but is he going to be held up and boxed in? That's the question.
He is. Was there for a moment.
Just clears the path for him in time. He only has a 3.5-second gap, and we've seen how quickly that can go away.
Are we still at Lime Rock Park? Did I miss something?
Feels like it.
At times, it really has. Look at this.
Curva Grande again. Oh, and look at this, our lead battle.
Yeah. Oh, this has been going on the whole race.
That was Lake and Trangerade making side-by-side contact out of Della Roja.
Yeah, these 4 remain close. Honestly, the top 5 still remain very close, but the battle up front continues to be a change of positions between Ruola and Jamie Hall.
And once again, Albrecht having to make his way through that held-up Trangerade. Something fierce, losing ground on Phil Lake. Next up, the top 2 and the GTOs. That is Ruola and Hall. Albrecht having to wait patiently here through Ascari, then try and launch off the corner and get by. He gets 1, Is it enough of a straightaway to get to? I think he's got it. All right. For the first time through, our GTP class finally, or at least the leader, clears our GTO class.
Arno Himaki is, honestly, Joe, is falling behind. This traffic is really slowed down his effort.
Back onto the front stretch once again. Good draft by Ruola, excuse me, on Hall. Don't look now, though. Here comes Yamaki. He's going to want to get them before he gets up to the Curva Grande. He can slide around the outside. Beautiful move there. Two more coming. That car in the background off. That's Ove Trangerade, but the battle is between Toika and Gerber. Oh, and Gerber a little bit hot into De La Rocha. Tries to collect the car together.
Here comes Gerber.
Toika gets to the inside before the first Lesmo, and he moves himself onto the podium.
Toika went a little bit wide there, Joe. Missed that apex just a bit, but enough to keep it in front.
And incredibly, in all this craziness, we only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cars DNF'd out of 55. Not bad.
Clayton.
Oh, Clayton McLeod with a big error.
Boy, I thought he almost saves this, Joe. Watch this on the replay. Clayton in that red, white, and blue Nissan.
Driver error.
And then it kicks back on him.
Would have been a phenomenal drift.
Yeah, it would have. It really would have. Tough break for Clayton.
That slots him down into 12th position in class, just between Brandon Phillip and Hideki Koivisto. We still have 3/4 of this race to go, Sean. A lot of action yet to come. And we haven't seen... Have we seen any scheduled stops, actually?
No, we haven't. I don't see any schedules on my my board right now. Everybody in due to damage at some point.
I saw Michael Kopak duck in. Oh, his was definitely damaged as well.
Yeah.
And actually, unfortunately, he actually had to take a tow because he was on his lid. We don't need to go back to it, but he had a rude meeting with Empty Box. Oh,
Timu! Big trouble for Toika. That was in Gerber de Lesmo.
Almost an exact repeat of what we saw. The rear of the car just breaks out. He overcorrects. So these cars, I did not expect this, seem to be struggling with that 90-degree right-hander. And Finn keeps going, but now has moved down to 6th. This promotes Gerber up to 3rd, and Luis Emerton. This is just becoming a tradition for this car.
Yeah.
The number 22 now up to 4th. A lesson in how to race better than you qualify.
Well, we've continued to see progress out of Emerton, and here it is.
Yeah, he's gonna. Is this a lapped car? No, yeah, that's a lapped car. Justin Critelli that he's going by there. That GTP. He's got Tobias Gerber behind him, trying to give chase. I know you're not a fan of Prost, but. Luis is very Prost-like. Doesn't really seem that strong in qualifying, but when it comes to the race, he's got the car set up and nailed, and he climbs through.
Yeah, he does, Joe. He really does. There probably could have been a whole other list of drivers that you could have chosen from.
How about Button?
Okay, all right, yeah, there we go. The favorite part of my wheel, the Jensen button. There you go.
All right, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, Rob Olenek, Nick Mucana still latched together on this track. Right now, David Miller, though, in his Nissan coming through, has split the battle up just a little bit. They were all over each other's bumper, but now Mucana's losing touch just a bit. This brought Riley Thompson back to him. I'm
sure Thompson is glad to get any positions he can with the ups and downs that he's had in this race. It's not only close here, but also for the lead in these GTOs. Still Hall, Ruola, and Lake separated by mere tenths.
Michael Haynes just off the track, out of the chicane. That was out of Ascari.
Right,
he's going to nose it in here. Oh, no, and he got some help. I didn't realize that the first time I saw that, but there was a bit of a hip check involved there with that, and that was who was that gave him the hip check? There was Ove Trendgrade coming through, and
that was less a hip check than a body slam. That was hard.
Yeah, well, Ove hits that curb. He hit the top of the sausage curb there, and then that I think is really what got the car off, and then Ove winds up going off track himself.
Yeah, and that was a very hard crash. You can see that put him in the pits. I guess if there's ever such a thing as racing karma, Ove just experienced it.
Oh, no. We got a couple of Nissans. I'm sorry. Hideki Koivitso was one of the cars involved. There it is on screen.
This is into Della Roja. Let's see what happened.
I
honestly, breaking too deep.
Yeah, Brandon Phillips, unfortunately, in his Spaceballs, the Nissan there. Okay,
that might be one of my favorite paint schemes I've ever seen.
And on the back it says ludicrous speed.
A little bit too ludicrous into the chicane, unfortunately.
Favorite paint scheme ever.
You went plaid for a moment.
All right, stop. I won't be able to.
Oh, and who is that?
Reed Miller.
Hitting the wall. Oh,
Reed Miller. He just couldn't save it.
Let's take a look at that replay one more time. That curb just has caused a lot of problems. Also, want to report as we watch this on board that poor Luis Emerton, for all the praise that we were giving him, lost it on his own in Parabolica, hit the wall, and he has since taken it into the pit lane for repairs.
Yo, the battle at the top for the GTOs is insane right now. Is it insane? It's pretty orderly actually, but these three continue to be hooked up. Willie Rolla, Jamie Hall, and Phil Lake. And honestly, Phil is really, he hasn't got to enjoy much time at the front, but maybe his teammate's going to let him get some time at the front, or at least a chance to battle Ruola. They've got to have to come up with a plan, obviously, to get around Ruola at the end of the race and find themselves in front of him. Ruola's had great pace, and they have, let's see, that's Tanner McCullough coming through right now behind him.
Yeah, but Phil Lake is a smart cookie. I'm pretty sure he's not interested in wading through the leaders. I think he's just trying to save fuel behind them, looking to see if he can jump them in the stops. Most of the battling seems to be between Hall and Ruola.
And you know, just behind them, Karadine Bawafia, not that far, Joe, just over 3 seconds. He's a little bit faster right now, actually. So maybe Karadine still has a little something left in his Audi here, or his Dodge, as it says on the front hood there. And, you know, they made a Mopar. Yeah. Well, anyway, it's all confusing.
So a swap for the lead as Hall gets by Willie Rolla one more time. That seems to be pretty commonplace between those two. They have stretched away quite a bit from Bawafia, so this extra pace that he's found is going to come in handy, try to track them down. Looking through, pretty much the action is left over in the GTOs. Everybody in the GTPs have spread apart. We'll jump back over there, and we've given them lots of screen time so far. We're not quite halfway through this race. It's round 4 in the iRacing Camel GT series here on the iRacing Esports Network. Going to have a little bit of traffic coming through in the form of Alex Basio. Canadian is currently sitting in 12th position as we ride on board, looking back as a pass happens there for the lead again. Rolla swaps back with Hall.
Might be seeing one of our scheduled stops here in the Audis. Franco scurries in. He's got some damage on the car, though, and I don't know if it just happened or if it's been there for a while. But he is in, and I would say the window is open right now for our leaders in the Audis to maybe come on in and get the fuel they need for the rest of this run. But Franco's going to be in for a little bit of damage repair here, I think.
Oh, prototypes getting close to one another for second place. Iamaki being chased by Gerber. They do have some traffic in front of them, which significantly is within their own class as well as the GTOs. And Sean, we've seen it's always so much harder to pass your own class than it is the other one.
Yeah, well, the Audis just had to get by, the leaders just had to get by Mark Prentice, and they had Hideki Koivitso coming through there also. This is tense on screen. Look at this side by side.
And you could see how much this affected Gerber. His track was effectively blocked by the GTO, so he had to get on the binders in the middle of the straightaway and lost a chunk of time to Iamaki. So a good news moment for Ardo Iamaki, who is still only 3.5 seconds back from our leader Albrecht. Albrecht could use a good result in this series. Let's see if we've got any other battles in the GTOs. I know that they tend to get some draft trains going.
Well, actually, you know what? Albertinelli and Ubla have been together on track for a while. Franco Scurry's just up in front of them now. Franco's down a lap, but this battle again between Ublev and Arnazi has been a good one, Joe. They've been back and forth with each other. They're kind of losing a little bit of touch now, but I think traffic will probably sort that out again as it's Tobias Gerber coming through now.
And you can see the damaged car of Franco Scurry up ahead of them. Watch the straight line speed suffer down the front stretch as the car of Ublev just gains on him hand over fist, trying to weave back and forth, but it is all for naught for Franco Scurry because I think this is going to be a done deal down into Curva Grande. Just catches him in time and sneaks on through.
And that continues to be a good charge for Ublev. He's picked up several spots since this race started, now into the top 10. Oh, and he almost makes contact there with David Miller. Miller, who just came out of the pits, Joe.
Again, go ahead.
Well, now Ublev finds himself side by side with Scurry, and they make contact.
Good catch by Ublev, and he gets another punch as Milan Arnozzi now gets into the back of Scurry.
Now Arnozzi's got a little bit of front end damage, not much, certainly not as much as Scurry. He's going to come around Scurry here.
Breaks him down into Ascari. I think he's got that one done, so he can continue to try and chase down Michael Haynes ahead of him, who is actually not in this battle. He's a lap down, right. So he's going to get out of the way. Oh!
Is that coming through there? That was the Bushvik car. James King threading the needle.
Iamaki is in for his first scheduled stop. As Bill Zahn likes to say, that was the toothpaste being put back in the tube.
Yes. Or in the jar, I think.
A little bit easier putting it in a jar, I think.
You're right, yeah.
All right, so Iamaki up on the jacks to get some fresh tires, a little bit of fuel to take him to the end. Justin Albrecht, however, our leader, has not come in yet. Iamaki should be our highest pitter when he returns back on track. Radar Anderson joins behind him with a scheduled stop.
You know, I'm almost afraid to make any references to Justin Albrecht right now. I don't want to be the one responsible, right? For anyway, I'm just going to shut up now. Anyway, Justin Albrecht later needs to pit here at some point.
So do a lot of our Nissans. So do a lot of our GTO cars as well. And I think is Rolla starting to stretch a gap over Hall now?
He is. He's just about a second.
Not sure if he's completely shaken the draft. We'll find out here if Hall is close enough to start to reel him back in. Don't forget the car behind Philip Lake also trying to ride that tow as they run behind Anderson. And look at that. Look at how powerful that slipstream is. What was, like you said, about nearly a second is back down to 2/10 by the time they get to the braking.
Monza is a track that you can go wide open for quite a bit here, and that really, really helps the Audi power. Don Peak is in his pit box, and he's rolling. That looked like that was a scheduled pit stop there for Don. Milan Arnozzi coming in now, so now we're beginning to see the stops happen here for the Audis.
There we see the purple car of Arnozzi heading towards his stall. Is this going to break things up, or is this going to bring drivers together? Iamaki is in. I'm seeing the first stop for Iamaki. I thought we saw someone in before.
No, I'm showing this to be a second stop for Iamaki.
Did he have a speeding penalty on his way out, potentially? Because these cars don't have pit limiters, if I recall.
There he is. He's back in.
Yep, 15-second stop. Ardo Iamaki with a speeding penalty. That is going to hurt something fierce.
Ruh-roh.
Don't do it a second time. And I can confirm no pit limiters on either of these old cars. Thompson comes in after all his adventures today. Gets tires as well. So right now, because of Iamaki having to come in for a second stop, that bumps Radar Anderson to our first car to have completed his stop. Watching Jamie Hall, still close behind Rolla, but also still very much right in front of Phil Lake. These are the leaders battling behind them. Iamaki, Gerber. Actually, not a battle. Iamaki a lap down from Gerber now.
Ardo just weaving in and out of traffic like it's nothing.
Got to make himself a quilt. So, and Kiradyne.
Yep.
Kiradyne's got
He's
into
here.
the mix now.
Joe, I was going to talk about that a moment ago. I stayed away from it, but he is there, and I said it before. He was catching them. He's still faster than the three cars in front of him, so here he is in the mix now. Kiradyne Bawafia recovered really well.
We'll see if that Mopar Audi can dodge his way through all these cars ahead now that he's finally caught up to them. First one using the slipstream, going to demote the car of Philip Lake.
Wow. And Bawafia coming from way back to get that. At one point, Joe, he was just about 4 seconds behind this group.
You know what I think part of it might be attributed to is just traffic management.
Yeah.
We've seen that's been a big deal today.
Hard to believe there's still 25 minutes left in this race.
A ways to go. Oh,
Yeah.
on the attack for the lead. Here comes Jamie Hall on Vili Rolla. Is this going to offer an opportunity for Bawafia?
Look at that.
He's going to sneak through in a second, trying to outbreak into the second Lesmo. One more spot for Kiradyne.
Yeah, Kiradyne's feeling it today, man. Joe, he's driven himself from well inside the top 10 back into the battle for the lead here. And the traffic, Tobias Gerber coming through, that backed our leader, Jamie Hall, up just enough to give Buafia a shot here.
If Kiradine can win this race, to me, this is one of the most impressive drives we've ever seen in the Camel Series.
Absolutely.
Just one more car to get himself up to the point as he comes through Parabolica, as he's setting him up. He's not too far behind, so sometimes you can hurt that draft. And look at this, behind them, Willy Rolla decides to pit.
Comes Buafia.
Pass for the lead, and the GTOs, Kiradine Buafia, clawed his way forward, and he disposed of them. What was this, 2 or 3 laps?
And everybody, and look, coming around. Watch out. Timu Toika squeezes it in and around the outside. Yeah, but everybody's going to run out and buy Dodges tomorrow now, Joe. Everybody's going to think that that's a Mopar under the hood, and yeah, they'll go looking for that car, and then they're going to find out from the dealer, we don't have that one available.
So as Rolla brings his Audi back out on track, is this going to make the dominoes fall? Are we going to see the other top drivers follow his suit? We see the battle for the lead, which has actually shrank, we should point out. Fabian Gerber has reeled Justin Albrecht in. It was up to 6 seconds at one point. It is now down to 1.1. They stream down the front stretch. Just a train of GTP cars. Our GTO leaders are coming up to the pit entry, and they are responding indeed, Sean. 2 of them at least.
Yep. Oh, Buafia might have been hot at the entrance here. I'm trying to go back and look.
A regular stop is about 25 seconds, so if he gets up to 40 seconds, then yeah, you called it right. Jamie Hall, you can see in with him, but Phil Lake decides to continue on. Remember, Lake was the car who was hiding behind these two, just running in the draft for a long time.
I'm wondering if Phil missed it, or if this is really the plan. You'd think
I think it's the plan.
Yep.
Buafia is getting a speeding penalty.
Wow. And that is I mean, that really just takes him out of contention. Yeah, I mean, tremendous disappointment after just digging so hard for well over the first half of this race, and then he blows it on entry.
No matter how many races you run, no matter how much talent you have, time and again, it's proven it's the little things in racing that can cost you just that couple miles an hour too fast. And Kiradine Buafia sees a win potentially slip through his fingers. So, was this the plan for Phil Lake? We're going to find out. He's coming around to Parabolica one more time as the car of Michael Haynes ducks to the runoff to let him through.
Yeah. Poor Michael. Listen, I commend the guy for staying in this thing. He had a hard shunt, and Phil Lake is in.
This is the battle for the lead, trying to play a little bit of strategy. He's been saving fuel. Everybody else getting pit stops around 24 to 25 seconds. Could this save him a crucial second or two? This is second place, the car that he's racing, Jamie Hall. Also, Willy Rolla, the car behind, the one that he's been racing, but Rolla was slower out of the pit lane. Wow, look at that fuel saving. 21 seconds for Phil Lake.
Yeah, Hall with 25 seconds. You said it, Joe, earlier about Phil being back there just kind of saving fuel. That's the difference it makes, and he is rolling. He's out.
Ooh, but Hall's got the speed.
Yeah, he does.
I don't know if this is going to work. It must have been a slightly slower lap for Lake back there. What's the gap going to be when they come out? About 3 seconds, so it did work. All right, our GTP second place driver and third place driver, the Gerber brothers, are in. Toyka continues. Justin Albrecht yet to take his stop. I'm thinking, though, we're going to see a slew of GTPs come in at the end here because if I recall, they can go just past 40 minutes normally. And this is a very thirsty track, Sean.
Oh, yeah. Well, it goes back to that being on, throttle wide open for a long time here. Hey, what does that do? It drinks fuel, obviously.
Gerber comes back out ahead of Tobias. Fabian comes back out ahead of Tobias.
That could get confusing quick.
It does. It does. I got to clarify which one a lot of the time. All right, so we're still waiting on Bassiu, McCullough, Keith, King, Toyka, and Albrecht all to take their stops as well. Way down the order, Johnny Bell in 16th, the last of our GTP cars, of all of our cars, I should point out, to take their stop. Justin Albrecht, to my surprise, keeps going.
Again, I'm reserving comment on anything involving Justin Albrecht right now. He's doing a great job. He's doing a great job. There's Toyka on screen, currently in second, started fourth, obviously.
Well, what do I know about fuel? Both cars keep going on. However, his teammate in Bushfink, James King, he's had enough. He's going to come in and pit. Oh, he was very hot in, too. Really locked him up. I think we're going to see another speeding penalty here.
Boy,
drivers have got to watch out coming into this pit lane.
Yeah, James is honestly he's about as experienced a driver as there comes, and I'm a little surprised to see him to make the mistake.
So, John Keefe doesn't come in. He continues on. You can see just a little bit of damage on the rear wing of that car. Oh, and wow, how did King avoid that penalty? He comes out with a regular time. That looked almost certain. I guess the stewards watched it and did not see him over speeding into the pit lane. Tanner McCullough also in. Albrecht is not going to come in for yet another lap. And we didn't see Albrecht save fuel out there, so this is fascinating. Teemu Toyka, as he enters the pit lane, a lot less locked up brakes than his teammate. I think Keefe currently sitting in third. Keefe going to come in as well. Wow, Albrecht not just fast today, but has found something in the way he's driving this car that makes it sip that little bit less fuel. Down to 16 minutes to go on the clock. Go through our top 5 in each of the classes once we get the last of our drivers to come on in.
Yeah, I think all the GTOs have had it settled. I don't see anybody lacking a pit stop here at this point. Phil Lake. Yeah, this should be close between Fabian and Justin here, Joe.
Now, looking at the difference in time there, oof, that is awful tight. And Albrecht is in. All right, so we'll get to find out how close it is right here. Remember, Gerber had caught up to him right as Fabian decided to pit.
Well, Gerber's got a long way to go here, Joe.
All the way down the pit lane. Remember, he started this on pole. Does find his pit stall. Right now, Fabian just coming out of Ascari. He had to deal with Iskren Pondev. Did that slow him up potentially?
Yeah, I don't think so. He got by him pretty quickly. Eskren did a good job of staying out of the way. I'm thinking Gerber was just too far
Albrecht is
back.
moving.
But here we go. Gerber just now out of Parabolica.
Fabian across the finish line.
You can see him there in the background.
Should blue and white machine. The Nissan just behind the car of Gregorio Buscemi. And Albrecht, 3 seconds faster, 3 to 2 seconds faster than all the other cars. And he went a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Somebody check that car for a spare fuel tank hidden somewhere. All right, third place, Tobias Gerber just overtook Teemu Toika. This is going to be a battle for the podium. And as those two settle it out, let's quickly run down our top 5 in the GTP, starting with Justin Albrecht. He's been leading most of the race. Despite being out front, somehow he's saved more fuel than anybody, or he's sort of short fuel. We'll find out in just about 13 minutes' time. He's being chased by Fabian Gerber. About 2.5 seconds back. The number 2 has his work cut out for him to try and see if he can get a win this week. Tobias Gerber, his brother, is sitting down in third, and you can see just how close that fight is between the brown car of Tobias and the Bushvink liveried car of Teemu Toika, who's going to have an opportunity. Toika sits in fourth. He's trying to make this third. Has to wait behind, though, as they come up to the lapped Audi of Andrea Albertinelli. Behind them in fifth place, James King has been riding somewhat quietly back there, rounding out our top 5. Sean?
Well, Joe, it's Phil in and around the lake at the top of the field once again this week. Finds himself just under 2 seconds ahead of his teammate, Jamie Hall, having a good solid run himself. That battle we had with the top 3 got split up just a bit, unfortunately. It's not over. Villarola still in touch back there in third. Anything could happen here over the last 12 and a half minutes. Kiradan Boafia, who has had just a magnificent race, finds himself right now in a battle with Nick Bucanos, who is our 5th place driver at the moment. It may not be for long. He may be 4th soon. And these two have gotten back to the fight after their pit stops. It's Thomas Delmuth in front of him, so that's a lap car actually that they're going to try and get through here.
Battle is on for third in the GTPs. Oh, and Toika backs out of it. Remember, Teemu had that big moment earlier in the race, losing it heading into the first Lesmo. Somehow has clawed his way back to fourth where he started this race, seeing if he can improve one position. Really, the best car to gain in this top 5 group is James King, going from 10th to 5th, but you have to give credit to Fabian Gerber, who's gone from 5th to 2nd. Onto the front stretch, well within the slipstream. Here comes Teemu Toika. The Finn on the driver from the DH Club looks to the inside. Does he have the speed to get it done by Della Rosa, though? He's going to be on the inside, which is a shorter distance here through Curva Grande. And Rob Olenek is ahead of him just to make it even more complicated. Oh, backing out for Teemu Toika. He elects to try and just get to the end. Doesn't lose anything on the car of Tobias Gerber. Just maybe an opportunity. Tries to get the car on the power early out of the second Lesmo, but it's not enough for him to be able to go on the attack. Down to 10 minutes to go. If you're going to do something, got to do it soon.
Yeah, you better get in a hurry.
Oh, this was a fantastic exit out of Ascari, but yet again, they've got an Audi almost in the way. That was Franco Scurry staying off out of the racing line. Every time Toika gets something on Gerber, It seems like traffic just is not in his favor. This time as they go by Riley Thompson, no dramas there. Closes and closes on the straight. Ooh, he's got a great run here. Looks to the inside, coming down to De La Rocha. This is the best chance that we've seen. Futimu Toika outbreaks him into the chicane. Can he get on the power smooth? Yes, he does. Nice job by the Finn to get onto the podium. Speaking of the battle for the podium, Lake may have jumped the leaders, but Jamie Hall has reeled it in to within about 3/4 of a second.
Yes, far from over. And Boafia is still, or I'm sorry, Villarreal is still lurking back there, Joe. You know, with this traffic coming through, great opportunity for him to kind of catch up here. I still think that, Joe, with 9 minutes, I still think there's going to be a 3-car battle here for the win in the GTO class.
Yeah, I think if those two start fighting hard enough, or if they get caught by a Nissan in the wrong place, like you said, it could erupt. Great news for our viewers and for the drivers. Only 10 retirees so far out of a 53-car field, less than a fifth.
Well, I think it says a few things. One is the quality of driving in this series to begin with. Two, drivers maybe showing a little bit of patience here today, knowing that they had a bit of an enduro on their hands, had to make these cars last for 60 minutes.
Yeah, we saw quite a bit of action in the first few laps, but after that, we really haven't had much in the way of sloppy incidents. So kudos to the drivers here after getting settled down and getting into the race, just running it, making sure they get to the checkered flag as we continue to watch Lake chased by Hall. Prototypes in 9th place has Pablo Suarez, and remember, Clayton McLeod was the other driver that we saw have a bit of snap oversteer through the first Lesmo. Sean, two classic liveries going at it here. The Mercedes Silverado and that Nissan red, white, and blue.
Yeah. Definitely classic.
A bit of traffic checking both of them up. That's Matthew Jette trying to keep his car out of the way. No place to go through here, though.
Clayton McLeod getting to drive a Nissan and a Toyota all within just a couple of hours of each other there, Joe.
Clayton showing he likes these high downforce cars. I'm sure he would have been like to be higher up than just a top 10 here today, though. A bit of damage on the front of Suarez. Could be slowing him in a straight line. Now down to 6 minutes left to go on the clock. Minute and a half, looking at about 4 laps to go, I believe.
I think so, Joe. Yeah, I think that's, well, maybe 5 to go when Lepisto gets to the line here. Or no, not Lepisto. I'm sorry. My bad. I was on the wrong car. Justin Albrecht.
Yeah, Lepisto's been out of the fight. Oh,
yeah,
like this fight we've been seeing on screen. Clayton McLeod making easy meet of Pablo Suarez up to the De La Rocha chicane. Move that car up to 9th on to timing and scoring. But yeah, Lepisto, he's gonna be ruining this one a little bit, I believe.
Yeah, definitely.
Traffic getting a little bit benign at this point, we could almost say.
Yeah, well, Jamie Hall catching his teammate here pretty quick, Joe. They have found each other on track once again.
was once 3 seconds between Hall and Ruola.
Oh, and just behind them, Krejcik spins in front of, that was Ruola. Ruola had to back out of it just a little bit, getting down into the chicane. That's going to hurt him.
Let's take a look from onboard Billy. He is going to get a face full of smoke, but stays calm and just breezes past Martin.
He was catching there for a little bit, though, and now he finds himself 4 seconds behind Jamie Hall. It's going to be a tough ask here with just a little over 4 laps left.
As they come out of Ascari down towards Parabolica yet one more time. Hall closing in, runs out of straightaway. No need to fuel saver here unless you short fueled it so much to the extent that you can't get to the end without lift and coast.
Are these two teammates anymore? I don't think so.
Well, they got the same Payton.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying at this point of the race, do you care if he's a teammate or not? Here we go. Jamie trying to come around, and here comes Krejcik through at the same time. They were 3 wide there for just a moment down the front stretch. Hall going to take.
Exactly. Up to P1 for Jamie. They've also got a little bit of traffic in the form of Don Peak just up ahead of them. Is that going to throw a wrench in it? Oh, back on the attack for Phil Lake. Oh, and they bank doors coming through De La Rosa. Somehow Jamie Hall comes out ahead of that. Let's watch that from the chopper. You asked on whether or not they were teammates still?
Frenemies.
Ooh. I may be overhyped a little bit from that angle. It looked like just the lightest of touches with the rear quarter panel.
And listen, Don Peak did a wonderful job of just moving over to the right and getting the Peak machine out of the way.
I guess I need to maybe hand him one of the GSRC paints, don't I?
It's kind of up to him, but he's certainly welcome to use it if he wants.
Sporting the flames right now. Running in 15th. Where did he qualify, actually? I feel like he was
further back than that, where he qualified.
I think 42nd is what we heard. At least that's overall. Oh, 22nd in class is what we heard. Not missing anything up at the top of the GTPs for our fans of the prototypes, but certainly seeing plenty of action here.
Yep, and Phil Lake goes back to the lead.
And are we going to see a counterattack just like we saw last lap? Jamie Hall working on the outside of De La Rosa, almost loses the car under braking, recollects it back together though.
See, don't get too cute trying to, have a little fun up there, and then all of a sudden, Billy Ruola is going to be the recipient of a stupid error. There's no other way to really say that nicely. Don't make a stupid error at this point. You've come too far.
Rule number 1 in racing: don't crash your teammate.
Yeah.
Could have a Force India moment here in the Camel GT series. They've even got pink numbers. Oh, and 6th place changed hands. Ardo Iamaki and Radar Andresen. Remember, Iamaki having to charge back through the field after his penalty for speeding in the pit lane. This one going to look like some easy work at first, but then look at the traffic they come upon. Ardo did a good job of navigating all this.
Yeah, they catch Don at a very, very inauspicious spot there.
Nice job by Don to keep the car out of the way. 42 seconds left on the clock. Where's our leader? I think. Who is this? 1 to go at the line. Yeah.
White flag at the line. Yep.
Going to be a little tight, but he's got enough. That start-finish line very early. Excuse me. Should just call it the finish line. as they start a little farther up. I'll never understand why F1 does that. They change the finish line to here early on the straight.
Because F1?
Yeah, I guess so. Feels like you could get some more dramatic finishes drafting to the line. There we go, White. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, am I safe to say anything about Justin Albrecht yet?
Well, we're going to have to watch him because it's the final lap and he's leading the race. He's got 3.5 seconds over Fabian Gerber. He started this one on the pole. Fabian Gerber, the driver from Ohio, is looking to potentially get a win here in round 4 of the Camel GT Series. A little bit of traffic up ahead of him. He could take it patiently if he wants to. And after this is over, we need to jump back to Holland Lake because they are very, very close to one another.
Yeah, and I'm staying on it, Joe. Don't worry. They're coming to the white flag now.
Justin Albrecht finally getting himself some screen time here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Finally showing he can lead a race. Showing he can cut out the mistakes. Through Ascari. Giving those tall curbs a nice wide berth. Off of there, just one more braking zone to go for the number 20 car. This should certainly gain him some I-rating today here in the SOF split of the Camel GT Series around Parabolica. He could just about coast to the line. Look at that, a short stop gave him the gap. Justin Albrecht going to be your winner here at Monza.
Joe, they were side by side to Della Rosia. Philip Lake wins the battle out. John Keefe is going to hang out behind him. Let these two finish out the battle. At least I think he is. This is Hall digging right now.
I was going to say, this might be too far back for Hall. He's now up to 7/10. It was down to 0.2 of a second before, earlier in the lap. He'll get a little bit of it here as they come and break into Ascari. Shawnee cuts it down to 0.5 of a second, 0.4 of a second. Oh!
Pack, get out of the way. Here we go, Joe. Oh!
Down to Parabolica on the outside. It's Jamie Hall on the inside. It's Philip Lake. It's going to be a drag race to the finish here. Lake uses a little bit later braking, but is it going to hurt him on the exit? Teammates going at it, banging doors to the line. Better run off the corner. Could it be a missed shift for Philip Lake because the win goes to Jamie Hall?
I think it was, Joe. Oh, wow.
What a time to lose it. Let's watch on board to confirm. Of all the times for the gearbox to bite you, he had the inside line, thought maybe this could be it for Philip Lake. Shorter run. Ooh, he's out of fuel. He cut it too tight.
Oh, well, that would explain the short pit stop, Joe.
A little too clever for his own good.
Oh, so maybe if he had been
a tenth longer in the stall.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Oh, he's going to be kicking himself. So with that, we're going to take a quick break here on the Global Sim Racing channel. The iRacing Esports Network will come back with driver interviews as well as the official results. But stick around because on screen, you're going to see all the upcoming races here on GSRC. Welcome back to the legendary Monza, where we just watched round 4 of the iRacing Camel GT series. And with 53 cars starting, we saw quite a few finishers. It was a lot less chaotic than what we had a week ago at Lime Rock Park. And Justin Albrecht is thankful for that. I think this might be his first win on the broadcast for the Ohio driver. Fabian Gerber followed him home just about 4 seconds shy. How about the recovery from Teemu Toika? Remember, he had a big spin in the first Lesmo and managed to finish on the podium. Tobias Gerber tried to chase him home, but it was for naught. He finished in 4th. James King with a top 5 for the Bushfink car, all the way from 10th on the grid. Ardo Iamaki climbed his way back to 6th, but probably could have had more in this race. Radar Anderson finished in 7th, having started in 16th. Similar progress for the car behind him. John Keefe from 15th to 8th. Clayton McLeod started in 9th and finished in 9th. Then Ryan McCusker gets a 10th place position, with Tanner McCullough finishing in 11th, having started in 25th. He was the first car lap down. David Miller finished 12th behind him. Pablo Suarez in 13th, and Hideki Koivisto getting 14th. Then it's Alex Bassiou in 15th, with Martin Krajcik in 16th, Johnny Bell in 17th, and the last of our GTP finishers, which I think isn't accurate. I think we had a few others out there. 18th for David Raber.
All right, Joe. Jamie Hall gets the big win because we're pretty sure his teammate ran out of gas. And Phil Lake will finish 2nd. 3rd's going to go to Villi Ruola. A great race by the top 3 today. And you know what? That guy that finished back there in 4th, Caradine Boafia, has a solid run for him today. A mistake getting in the pit stops cost him. Nick Lucanos with a solid top 5 run. You're going to see Mike Kopak sprinkled in there. He was 19th in class. All right, Riley Thompson will finish 6th today. 7th to Andrea Albertinelli. A good run for Albertinelli as he gets it home in the top 10. Iskrin Pondev, another good run for him. 8th place, Matthew Jette. 9th today, 10th for Milan Arnolsi. Carlos Fonseca will finish 11th. Miki Kivipuro, a 12th place run for him today. Thomas Delmuth in a number 46, 13th. Franco Scurry, a disappointing run for the Italian today here at his home track. He'll finish 14th in class. Don Peak with a big run, an impressive top 15 run for him there at a number 47 in the Peak Machine. And then we've got a couple other Nissans sprinkled in here. Justin Critelli there is, 20th overall or 20th in class. Antti Lepisto with that disappointing run that we talked about, Joe. He unfortunately is going to finish 21st today in the Nissans. Now, Rob Olenek, was having a really, really solid run, picks up some bad luck, and, well, poor Rob is going to wind up 16th in the GTOs today. Gregorio Buscemi, 17th. Histro Yublev, 18th. Patrick Moore there. He's going to finish 19th. Brendan Philippe in his Nissan will finish 22nd in class. And then we get down to Michael Haynes, a 20th place run for him in the GTOs. Bronislav Romanek, a disappointing day for him in 21st. Mark Prentice, 22nd. Luis Emerton finished 23rd in the GTOs. Reed Miller, 23rd. Emerton in the Nissans finishes 23rd. Reed Miller, 23rd in the GTOs. Ove Trengrade, 24th in the GTOs. Matt Orr, 24th in his Nissan today. Shanahan, 25th. Trevor Snyder, 26th. And then we've got LaRusso Hugo, 51st overall. Connor Pearson, 52nd. And Fabian Jungbluth, the biggest loser today, Joe. Poor Fabian.
Yeah, it's sad to see, especially with the pace that he was showing. So as we close the book on that grid read through that's probably longer than War and Peace, we've got Fabian Gerber, second place driver, ready to talk to us, as he did get close to Justin for most of the race, but couldn't seem to quite take that lead away. Were you a little bit surprised after the pit stops that he had gapped you so much, Fabian?
Hi. Yes, a bit, but I'm not sure what went wrong with the pit stop. Maybe he saved fuel and had to fuel less. I don't know. I didn't fuel much, and I had to do some repairs, but it didn't take longer than it should. I think I don't know what exactly. I think I had a lot of bad luck with traffic all race long. It was the same for everyone, of course, but I think I had a lot of trouble.
Did you expect the traffic to be pretty bad around here, especially with the long straights? One would assume that it'd be so much easier than what we had at Lime Rock Park.
Yes, I expected it to be the opposite, to be honest, but it was actually almost more difficult than at Lime Rock, because in Lime Rock you could see where they go, etc. And here they behaved so differently. It was every lap was horrible at times, but sometimes it's okay. Of course, the regulars are always okay, but the new ones a lot of times were a bit difficult to overtake.
So between last week and this week, though, you've had a nice little haul of points. Is your goal, I'm assuming, another championship?
I hope. It would be nice to defend the championship and do it again. And I can be happy today with second place. It's still 22 points. It could have gone much worse with all the trouble I had. I'm actually pretty happy with that result, and I congratulate Justin for his first win in the broadcast here. Great job he's done.
All right. Well, congratulations to you for second place, another podium notched up. Can't wait to see you in a week's time at the Ring of all places.
Thank you very much. I'll be there.
That's Fabian Gerber, second place finisher. Up next, I believe we have our also second place finisher in the GTOs.
We do, Joe, and we're trying to catch up with the driver now. Oh, it's Phil in and around the fuel pump. Phil, did you run out of fuel there at the end?
Oh, I did. Yeah.
I'm just gutted for you. What happened?
Yesterday, I had too much fuel. I ran the same fuel numbers, and I had too much. So I knew, because we were in that crazy pack, there were four of us at the pit stops, and I thought, well, if I can save like a second or two here, then that will put me hopefully in the lead, and then I'll be fine because I had enough fuel yesterday. But it wasn't to be. I knew I was going to run out with about 2 laps to go, and I was trying to stay in Jamie's draft if I could, to try and save fuel. And then I just went for it on the last lap. I knew it was going to be close on the line.
Well, the guy we were really looking out for was Bawafia. He drove himself up through the field to get to you guys, and he makes a mistake in the pits. He got in too hot there, and did you guys feel threatened by his pace?
Absolutely, yeah. Yesterday he had another insane run. Came from last all the way up to take the lead at one point. So yeah, he's scary fast.
What is it with that guy?
I don't know. I wish I did.
Well, listen, it doesn't get any easier next week for you. We get a green hell, and that's always exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, totally different challenge. It's very much car, driver, and track rather than against each other like we saw today with the draft battle. So that'll be fun.
Yeah, there won't be much drafting next week, except for when you get on the Dot der Hole. And we look forward to seeing you there, buddy. Great run. You'll like the points, and you'll be okay in the championship. So good stuff, man. We'll see you next week.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Congrats to Jamie. That was his first broadcast win in the Audi.
That was his first broadcast win?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, Joe, that's breaking news. I didn't know that, actually.
2 drivers in one day.
Wow. Pretty good stuff, man. Well, thanks, Phil, for the tip. We appreciate it. We'll see you next week.
Yeah, see you next week. Thanks, guys.
All right, Joe.
That was Phil Lake, second place driver. And I think the reason we missed that is because he specified in the Audi. I think we've seen him win in the Nissan. Yeah. So in the meantime, Bushfink has come to join us, specifically in the form of Teemu Toika and James King, doing a little bit of a dual interview here with Teemu getting a podium. We'll start with you. That was a great climb back up, but tell us about that mistake in the first Lesmo. We were surprised to see multiple drivers lose the car there.
Yeah, I think the problem was that to be fast on Monza, you have to make some kind of sacrifices, and those sacrifices meant that Lesmo 1 was a very difficult corner today. There was no downforce whatsoever, and because it's such a low speed, the ground force or ground effects isn't working that well. And I think I passed Fabian the few corners before, so I was a bit surprised, and I hadn't really prepared to go in clean air to the corner, so I lost the rear and just simply spun to the gravel. So, but I didn't hit anything, so that was all good.
Yep, you made a impressive run back up to the podium. Now, your teammate James King, though, a top 5, even just as impressive, I would say, because James, you qualified in 10th. That's not easy to gain that many spots when you're up at the sharp end.
No, I was quite surprised with my result from this one. After practice, I was struggling to string a couple of laps together at a time. I had a little scare coming towards, I think it was 2 to go. Coming out of the first chicane that we were running, but yeah, somehow managed to keep it all together and come out with 5th.
Yeah, and survival is always a talking point here in the Camel GT series. But next week, you guys are going to the Nordschleife, so best of luck with that. But I mean, thoughts on heading over there? Do you like the Nordschleife, or are you one of the ones that dreads it?
I like it, but I'm scared.
Teemu, your thoughts?
I like a good challenge, and Nordschleife definitely delivers good challenge.
Certainly can. Well, what's the prediction for next week then? Each of you, what position do you think is feasible coming around the ring?
I mean, if I can get a top 5 again, I'll be very happy. That'll be definitely an attrition thing, though, if I get there. But top 10, easy.
Yeah, I think top 3 will be certainly possible for me, and I think that's a reasonable target.
Well, that sounds like a good target to me for both of you. With that, thanks for coming to talk to us. Congratulations, Teemu, on a podium, and congratulations, James, on a top 5.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That was James King, 5th place finisher, and 3rd place finisher, Teemu Toika. That is going to bring us to the end of it today. We're going to close up shop. And of course, a big thank you to the Camel GT community for bringing GSRC back for another season of coverage, and to the folks at iRacing for putting us on the iRacing Esports Network for, to me, is one of the best series here on iRacing. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. And additional thanks go to Eric Ekholm and June Lalonde, who provide our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of their great work. Thanks to the team today, Sean, Amjad, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. You can check us out on social media. We're on GSR Channel for Twitter. Facebook is at Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram is at GSRC_Graham. Don't forget, head on over to our YouTube page as well. Hit that big red subscribe button so that you don't miss a moment on the GSRC, as well as subscribe to the iRacing Esports Network. I mentioned it a few times. We are going over to Germany for the Nürburgring. That's right, the Nordschleife. We're going to do it old school. That'll be Saturday, October 13th at 1 p.m. Eastern. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. Until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.